Yeah, so I would say with weight management, there are three. All of these are going to, my answers to these questions are always going to have multiple parts because that's just how the gut microbiome and we as humans work. So the big three are they're affecting your metabolism, affecting how you're processing your food, right? That's metabolism. It has to do with appetite regulation, how we are eating and when we are eating. And last, kind of fat storage, how that food or energy that we're eating is distributed out throughout our body and ultimately stored as fat. I want everyone to realize all of our gut microbiomes right now are structured differently. So when we have these changes and we're making changes in our body, we're taking probiotics and we're doing some of these things that we'll discuss later, they don't necessarily do the same thing for everyone at that given moment. Think of us as stars in the sky, right? All the decisions that we've made throughout our life have made us unique. But really that pathway back, like what Adam talked about, that rebiosis of our gut, that pathway is similar for all of us. So energy harvesting, right? This idea of energy harvesting, one thing I want you to realize is the energy that you're harvesting, there is two main parts to your gut microbiome. There's your small intestine, right? That comes off of your stomach, and then your large intestine. When we talk about the gut microbiome, we focus often on that large intestine part. But in both parts, energy harvesting is happening in the small intestine and the large intestine. Much of your blood sugar, much of your glucose responses, much of your fat storage and those signalings happen in the small intestine. And there are plenty of bacteria there, but in that space, 90% of your energy harvesting happens in your small intestine and 10% happens in the large intestine, where there's even what we actually think about as incredibly diverse gut microbiome. So that's important to understand those two spaces associated with them. We'll talk about it more. The other one is if food, right, the food that you eat, if it gets to your gut microbiome in your large intestine, that produces tons of neurotransmitters and chemicals that are directly related to how you eat and appetite regulation. You've heard Kelly talked about, you've heard me talk about these short chain fatty acids are incredibly important. And the reason they're incredibly important because they also help our body generate tons of metabolic hormones. There are things called peptide YY, ghrelin, and also probably all of your favorites or that you've heard about in the media, the glucagon-like peptide, which is GLP-1, or the things that are in all of these weight materials. You make GLP-1 in your body all the time. And all of these things impact your feeling of fullness and hunger. And so really to get those benefits, we need to get things down into our large intestine where our majority of our gut microbiome resides. These neurotransmitters also satiate cravings that you have, or can actually, if you don't have, you're not generating certain ones, or you're generating certain ones, they can actually enhance food cravings. Another one is this fat storage. So there is this interplay of fat storage. And when we talk about weight management, often we're talking about fat, right? We all want to lose fat. We all want to be trimmer. We all want to be healthier. And this is one of those external signs associated with it. Your gut microbiome directly impacts the distribution of your energy that in your body, right? So ultimately, these short chain fatty acids and these different chemicals move throughout the body that impact that balance between how much of my energy ultimately goes to feed my cells or gets stored as fat. One of the things associated with this, there's tons of you can actually enhance if you're eating correctly and you're getting material to your gut microbiome, your heavy gut microbiome in your large intestine, you can create all types of chemicals and cascade effects throughout your body. Another one is this insulin sensitivity. And this insulin sensitivity happens in the small intestine where 90% of your digestion is occurring. We want to be sent insulin and this play between insulin and glucagon. Insulin is basically saying, I'm pulling in my glucose into my cells to be used by my cells to generate energy. When you eat sugars or breaking down carbohydrates, you want to bring that sugar into your body as best as possible, because if you don't use it, then it gets stored as fat. And a lot of these chemicals generated by your gut microbiome in your small intestine and in your large intestine are impacting that balance between your glucose levels, insulin, and really fat storage. Again, I want to stress that when we're talking about these things, everybody is at a different state of rebiosis. We're not going to say dysbiosis anymore, because all of you are actively trying to be healthier and to be the best you, right? We all have unique guts. So unfortunately, that's why some people see more dramatic impact than others, right? Because of what state their gut is in. And yes, we could talk about some personalized approaches and what you can do, but we're going to talk about that general path as well that is going to help with weight management.